Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shania Prasad, and today my presentation is based on understanding learning theories through episodes of learning. Overview of learning theories. Learning theories provide framework for understanding how knowledge, skills, and attitudes are acquired. The three main learning theories, behavioral, cognitive, and social learning theories, provide valuable perspectives on how people learn and grow. Behavioral learning theory focuses on how learning is reflected in observable behaviors and how this behavior is shaped through practice, positive and negative reinforcements. The two types of conditioning are classical conditioning and operant conditioning. Classical conditioning developed by Ivan Pavlov, a Russian psychologist, that explains that it is a type of learning that happens when a person learns to make connection between two things. You learn that one thing signal predicts another, that is the consequence, that enables one to react automatically. A well-known example is Pavlov's dog salivating at the sound of the bell after the sound was repeated and was paired with food. Operant conditioning developed by B.F. Skinner, an American psychologist, who believed that actions that are rewarded are likely to happen more compared to the actions that are punished. He introduced the positive and negative reinforcement schedules so that students control own behavior, as operant conditioning is about learning the results of your own action. Cognitive learning theory, it is a mental process that explains how people think, comprehend, and process information while learning. Jean Piaget emphasized that students construct knowledge through the levels of cognitive progress using concepts like schemas, assimilation, and accommodation. Schemas is a mental framework. It is like a filing cabinet that contains past experiences about people, events, and situations. Assimilation occurs when new information is easily integrated with the present mental framework. For instance, a child knows that apple is round, but when it sees orange for the first time, they may refer to it as apple. So here the child is assimilating the new fruit orange into their existing schema, which is the apple. Accommodation is whereby existing ideas schemas are changed to create new ones in order to fit the existing schemas. For instance, the child changes the existing fruit schema to include orange and apple as different fruits. Social learning theory, it is developed by Albert Bandura that it bridges behaviorism and cognitive theory as it emphasizes on the role of observation, imitation, and social interaction in learning. Observation is the process whereby people learn new behavior and attitudes by imitating others. For example, a young child watches older siblings styling own hair. After watching it several times, the younger sibling also learns to style own hair, and there is no direct teaching needed. Social interaction highlights that when interactions happen in a learning environment, it receives feedback, guidance, and reinforcement that enables to make learning positive and meaningful. Behavioral learning episode. A study was conducted to examine the effects of positive reinforcement on student behavior. The teacher provided rewards and showed appreciation when students completed work on time and took active part in group work. Based on Skinner's operant conditioning theory, this reward served as positive reinforces that increases the repetition of good behavior. At first, students felt unsure to participate, but constant reinforcement progressively enhanced active participation of students and task completion rates. Therefore, this episode of learning was a successful one. Cognitive learning episode. During my micro teaching lesson in elementary science on the topic the criteria of life, I observed students learning to group living and non-living things. So initially the students believed that all moving things are living. For instance, they believed that cars are living things. So in their existing schemas, cars were living things because it moved. Students were using assimilation to fit new examples into their present knowledge without modifying it. I then explained that living things carry out the 7 criteria or the processes of life. After this thorough explanation, students interpreted, updated, and accommodated the ideas. So this learning episode was successful as students achieved successful accommodation by the end of the lesson. Social learning episode. I remember in my secondary school, during an English class, we were expected to read paragraphs out aloud from a book 10 by 10. I was not confident and was nervous to read out the passage aloud. However, I observed my classmates reading and pronunciation, and when it was my turn, I imitated the same confident tone, although I made some mistakes in pronunciation, but I did quite well. After that, we continued to read in small groups. In groups, we all helped each other in pronunciation of words, and we all felt motivated and enjoyed the process of learning. This episode was a successful reflection of Bandura's social learning theory. Analysis of the behavioral learning episode. In the study, the teacher intended to increase student participation using positive reinforcement. So there is a key principle of B.S. Skinner's operant conditioning theory. The learning episode highlights that behavioral learning theory provides the most appropriate structure for shaping outward behavior in classrooms by linking actions with consequence that helps students to develop good habits. There's another study by Fatima that supports the positive reinforcement approach in classrooms because it improves student performances at primary school level. So that study revealed that positive reinforcement such as praising students' efforts, providing verbal phrases, and use of rewards such as stickers, small treats enables students to repeat good behavior and develop confidence in abilities to do tasks. Positive reinforcement is a strategy that enhances learning and creates a positive and supportive learning environment where all students can take active part and are keen to attain their best. Overall, the learning episode highlights how behavioral teaching strategies can guide teacher and student relationship by creating mutual respect and active participation in the classroom. Moving on to the cognitive learning episode, it highlights on my macro teaching experience about whereby I did a macro teaching to a primary level class, and it demonstrated that Piaget's cognitive development theory that offers the most appropriate framework for directing primary level students. Scaffold learning, observation, thought-provoking questions enable students to think critically about their schemas and fit in new information, that is accommodation. My macro teaching aligned with the Piaget's concepts of schemas, assimilation, and accommodation, where learners initially fit new encounters into existing schemas and modify those schemas with contrasting evidence. The learning environment plays an important role in enhancing cognitive development. It provides opportunities for observation and peer discussion that encourages active knowledge and construction. Teacher-guided environment creates a platform whereby students effectively express their thoughts and ideas. So this episode of learning was successful as students displayed conceptual change. Moving on to the analysis of social learning episode. The learning episode from my English lesson where I participated in a reading activity aligns with Bandura's social learning theory that outlines that effective learning takes place through observation, imitation, and modeling. From my own classroom experience, as students' group reading sessions progressed, I noticed that all the students improved their skills in reading. This process demonstrates that students not only learn from teachers but also from their peers and the social environment, depicting Bandura's idea that individuals acquire new behaviors by watching and imitating others. This learning episode was successful because it highlighted that social interaction encourages collaboration, reading, communication skills, and shared practice. Supporting my critical analysis, insights from lectures, forum discussions, and my own teaching experience show how behavioral, cognitive, and social theories work together to improve classroom practices. The study on positive reinforcement and the lectures emphasize that behaviorism focuses observational and positive reinforcement that directs students to demonstrate positive behavior in a classroom setting. Forum discussions highlighted how immediate feedback encourages participation and motivation. In my macro teaching, I guided students through new concepts by connecting to their existing knowledge, allowing them to adjust their understanding through schemas, assimilation, and accommodation. Similarly, in applying social learning theory, I observed that structured group activities and positive social interactions encourage students to participate confidently, model appropriate behaviors from peers, collaborate effectively, reinforcing both learning and self-assurance. In conclusion, using behavioral, cognitive, and social learning theories work together to help teachers understand how students learn. Each of the theories offers something different, whether it's guiding behavior, helping students to connect new ideas to what they already know, or learning through working with others. From my own teaching experiences and discussions in lectures and forums, I have seen that combining these approaches makes learning more engaging, builds confidence, and helps students succeed. These are the references that I used to compile my critical analysis project. Thank you so much for watching.